It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, October 24th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, high 62. The weekend looks pretty good. Saturday, sunshine, high 61, and then Sunday, partly cloudy, high 58. And then if you look forward, there's not really many days we get out of the 50s over the next week, so fall has really kicked in. If you are walking out the door with us right now, it is 44 and clear in Yonkers up in Westchester County, 45 and clear in Elmwood Park over in New Jersey, and it's 46 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Mayor Adams, Andrew Cuomo team up against Zohran Mamdani. Tish James is about to turn herself in. Cops search for monkeys in one New Jersey town. There's a new speed limit kicking in today for e-bike riders. A murder mystery on Long Island has neighbors in one town on edge. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. There was a rally held last night in Lower Manhattan in support of New York Attorney General Letitia James ahead of her arraignment this morning on charges of alleged mortgage fraud bought by the Trump administration. Several prominent elected officials put their support behind James. It was in Foley Square last night. Governor Hochul, public advocate Jumaane Williams among the people at this rally.
If they can do this to an attorney general of a state like New York, heaven help the rest of us, because they can come after anyone.
He made it very, very clear that he wants to go after his enemies. He made it very, very clear that he's going to find somebody who does that, irrespective of whether it is the right thing to do.
Now, you'll remember James became the president's sworn enemy after she prosecuted his family for fraud and won. The rally comes as James and her legal team look to challenge that indictment, which accuses the attorney general of her using her home in Norfolk, Virginia, as a rental investment property while claiming it would be her secondary residence, which saved her a potential about $19,000 over the life of that loan. James has declared her innocent and labeled these charges as baseless. The president and James have spoken out about this over the last week or so.
It looks to me like she's very guilty of something.
It's baseless. It's nothing more than retribution. Retribution for basically doing my job.
Now, the Attorney General, the state Attorney General, was not at this rally because she's in Virginia to turn herself in this morning, but there were a fair amount of Democrats at this thing, including Zohran Mamdani and others.
There is no Department of Justice. It just becomes the Department of Revenge.
So we'll have more as James turns herself in a little bit later this morning. 5:03. Alaska airline flights grounded nationwide last night after the airline said it was experiencing an IT outage affecting operations. So we got an update early this morning. Waiting to see what will take off and what won't. We don't know yet. But the Seattle-based airline says the issue was a failure in its primary data center, and it wasn't a cyber attack or related to any other event. As the ground stop stretched on, the airline says it would cancel these Alaska airline flights. They also are in charge of Horizon Air, which is a regional airline owned by the airline. The FAA first issued a ground stop. This was about 7:30 last night, and they encouraged passengers, and they're doing so this morning, to check the status of their flights before leaving for the airport. Now, they leave out of a number of smaller airports in the tri-state area. So if you have something on Alaska Airlines or Horizon Air, for sure, you want to check online to make sure that it's taking off. Alaska Airlines has flights to most of the U.S., 12 countries, and operates about 1,500 flights a day. So this is a pretty big deal. It's also the second time this has happened to them. Back in July, you might remember, an IT outage affected the airline and also halted flights for about 3 hours. 5:04. Let's go out to the campaign for mayor and Mayor Adams. We knew he was going to do this, but he did it yesterday. He endorsed Andrew Cuomo for mayor yesterday.
I'm fighting for the family of New York. That's why I'm here today to endorse Andrew Cuomo.
It comes 2 days, well now 1 day before early voting begins and weeks after the mayor dropped his re-election bid, with Cuomo rising in the polls. The endorsement is an attempt to cut into Zohran Mamdani's double-digit lead so far in the polls.
Am I angry that I'm not the one taking down Zohran, the socialist and the communist? You're darn right I am. But you know what? The city means more to me than anything.
And the mayor says that New York must be protected from Zohran Mamdani.
It's time for us as a family to come together. New York can't be Europe, folks. I don't know what is wrong with people. You see what's playing out in other countries because of Islamic extremism. Not Muslims. Let's not mix this up.
And Andrew Cuomo, out and about, he was on with Sid and Friends in the Morning yesterday. He made a whole bunch of other stops along the way, trying to do anything again, claw some support from people who might vote for Zohran Mamdani after Wednesday's debate.
You know, the talk all nowadays is so partisan, or you're a Democrat, you're a Republican. No, I'm a New Yorker. I was New York governor. I had a Republican Senate. Everything I did, I negotiated with the Republican Senate. Public safety, hire more cops, clean the damn city up, get jobs coming back, lower taxes. That's my agenda.
All right, coming up, we're going to have more response to that endorsement and more stuff that happened on what has been a wacky campaign trail over the last weeks. That'll come up after 5:30. 5:06. The construction worker who fell to his death here in Manhattan yesterday morning was working on the Gateway Tunnel project.
The man was working at the Hudson Yards site of the concrete casing project just before 9 a.m. That's when he fell from ground level down into a 60-foot pit. Officials aren't sure why it happened. Investigations of the site and the accident are underway. President Trump said he was cutting already approved funding for the massive Hudson River Rail Tunnel project during the shutdown, in part despite New York Senator Chuck Schumer. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
WABC News Time 5:08. New Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer demanding President Trump retract his decision to terminate the Gateway train project. Gottheimer, surrounded by fellow Democratic Congress members, labor leaders at the Glen Rock, New Jersey train station yesterday, calling the president's Gateway tunnel cancellation decision rash, impulsive, and ridiculous.
It's a key connection point for 20% of our nation's GDP. It's the only way in and out of New York for Jersey commuter trains.
Now, the president had canceled the project after the shutdown continued as a punishment towards Senator Schumer. These lawmakers sent a letter to the president calling on him to unfreeze the $16 billion in congressionally approved funding to build these two new rail tunnels under the Hudson to replace the crumbling pair that are more than a century old. Those tunnels that the trains are going through now, they were built in 1911.
President Trump's impulsive, rash, and ridiculous decision to terminate the Gateway project would be a sledgehammer to families, to our economy, to American competitiveness, and to tens of thousands of labor jobs.
Now, there is some thought on the part of some of these lawmakers that once the shutdown ends, the president will refund this project. 5:09, an Illinois state senator running to be the next governor there lost 4 members of his family in a helicopter crash yesterday. Darren Bailey's son, daughter-in-law, and 2 grandchildren all killed. The current governor, J.B. Pritzker, reacting to the news last night.
I cannot imagine losing a child, losing 2 grandchildren, and what they must be going through.
The crash happened in Montana. It was just a week after Bailey announced that he was making a second run for governor.
This is not a time for politics. This is just a time to recognize that losing a child is, one of the hardest things ever.
Yeah, right now we don't know. It's not clear what brought down that helicopter. 5:10, what a day for the NBA. Current and former NBA players, coaches facing charges in connection with federal investigations into gambling. Here's FBI Director Kash Patel.
This is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case.
Miami Heat player Terry Rozier, former coach and player Damon Jones are accused of using inside information to make wages on game, while Portland Trail Blazer coach Chauncey Billups, he was arrested in connection with a poker scheme that involves the mob. More than 30 people facing charges in connection with the cases on what was the first day of the NBA season.
Individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today. Former, current NBA players and coaches. We also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families.
I bet a lot of you didn't even know those families were still doing their thing.
The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling.
And then last night we were hearing from some of the lawyers for these players. Terry Rozier is the lawyer, says his client is not a gambler, and he's looking forward to winning this fight in court.
The Hornets were out of the playoffs. He's a veteran that's been there. He's like, why am I going to make this injury worse?
Yeah, so this happened between 2022 and 2024. Attorney Jim Trusty there represents Rozier, who's accused of faking an injury and tipping off bettors while playing with the Hornets in 2023.
He had medical follow-up in the days after. He had a bunch of people that he appropriately confided in that he had an injury. And he didn't play another game.
And then friends of Chauncey Billups say this is not the man they know. They say he wouldn't be involved in sports betting or any kind of scheme involving poker. Here's a friend of his who grew up with him in Denver speaking out last night.
He'll know that his community, Park Hill, and those who know and care a lot about him are standing with him.
So Billups arrested, facing charges in connection with rigging sports bets, underground poker games. He was the coach, well, I guess still currently the coach of the Trail Blazers, but now he's on leave. Here's more from his friends yesterday.
For those who don't understand the closeness relationships that we have, the legacies and the excellence that come from our community, you're about to see it. It'll be on full display. Chauncey should be afforded every opportunity to be viewed in light of everything that he's already accomplished, the integrity that he has always shown.
So what we're hearing from Kash Patel is the defendants had access to private information known by NBA players or NBA coaches that would likely affect the outcome of games or players' performances, and then provided that information to others in exchange for either a flat fee or a share of the betting profits. More arrests, they say, are on the way, and what a big scandal it is for the NBA could get even bigger. 5:13, at least half of U.S. states plan to cut off food assistance benefits on November 1 because of the government shutdown. Camille Teal, she heads a food pantry in Oklahoma, and she worries that the coming days could prove to be incredibly difficult for a lot of families across the country.
The first of the month is generally when people receive their renewal if they currently receive food stamps. So we're going to be watching that week very closely to see if we have an influx in demand or new clients that need help.
Now, the loss of assistance would affect millions of people. Some 25 states, including New Jersey, started sending out notices yesterday to people on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP as people know it, that the checks won't be coming next month.
We're definitely prepared to care and welcome the increased demand as we're able.
Yes, so what we've seen in cases like this before is, these people turn to food banks, and the food banks say they're loading up, but there's only so much they can load up.
Let's just use this as a time not to judge everybody, but to come together and show our neighbors that we care, like we see you and we're here for you.
Here's somebody locally who uses SNAP to get through, the day to buy food and is preparing to have it cut off.
People are already trying to use what money they have left to get what they need. So stores all are already, running out of stuff.
Shut down in its fourth week now. 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Start here with a quick Thursday Night Football recap. Your final from Los Angeles. The Chargers, they beat up on the Vikings there, 37-10. Chargers leave there 5-3 now. And looking ahead to Sunday, Sunday, 1 p.m., the earliest slate, the 0-7 Jets are 6.5-point road underdogs in Cincinnati against the 3-4 Bengals. Also at 1 p.m. come Sunday, the 2-5 Giants. They'll be in Philadelphia up against the Eagles for the second time in 3 weeks. Eagles at 5-2. Giants 7.5-point road underdogs in that contest. Led to the ice here at the Garden. The Rangers lost 6-5 in overtime to the Sharks, handing lowly San Jose their first win of the season. Despite Taylor Radish scoring 3 goals for his second hat trick in the league, the Rangers have lost 5 in a row at home to start for the first time since the 1943-44 season. They got 5 goals after scoring just once in their first 4 games at MSG combined, with Mika Zibanejad and Yusuf Parsonen also netting 1 each. New York lost big forward Matt Rempe to injury stemming from his fight with Ryan Reeves in the first period. Rempe left the ice rather than going to the penalty box, and the team said he would not return with what's being called an upper body injury. Up next for the Rangers, they'll open a 4-game Western Conference trip Sunday at Calgary. In Elmont, Emil Heineman scored twice, while Tony DeAngelo, Matt Barzal, and Simon Holmstrom each had a goal and an assist, I should say, as the Islanders topped the Detroit Red Wings 7-2. Jean-Gabriel Pageau and Kyle Palmieri also scored for the Islanders, who have won 4 in a row after losing their first 3 to open the season. Anders Lee added 3 assists, and David Rittich made 29 saves. New York's Matthew Schaefer, the first pick in the 2025 NHL Draft, had his 6-game point streak snapped. Up next for the Streaking Isles, they'll begin a 4-game road trip tomorrow in Philadelphia against the Flyers. Tonight on the ice, the Devils, also playing really good hockey here to start the season. They'll welcome in the aforementioned Sharks tonight for a 7 p.m. puck drop. And we're looking ahead to tonight on the hardwood as well. Obviously, the NBA dealing with a bit of a bigger issue right now. But hey, we could still watch some casual local basketball. No,
a little round ball, yeah. Why not?
None of our Knicks or Nets are involved in this epic gambling scale. Or we don't know. Not yet, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. More to come from that, obviously. But, we got the Knicks and the Nets both back in action tonight. Both 7:30 p.m. tip-offs. The Knicks will welcome in the Boston Celtics, and the Nets will host the Cleveland Cavaliers. And World Series Game 1, we're getting underway finally tonight with the Dodgers and the Blue Jays out in Toronto. That's an 8 p.m. first pitch there. That's your Sports Know, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:19. President Trump says he's cutting off trade negotiations with Canada now after Canada used former President Reagan in an ad about the long-term risks of tariffs.
Trump said on Truth Social that tariffs are very important to the national security and economy of the U.S., accusing Canada of using the ad to interfere with a pending Supreme Court case regarding Trump's authority to impose sweeping tariffs. Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced the ad campaign earlier this month. Trump announced back in August a 35% tariff on all Canadian goods, with some exempt due to a previous trade agreement. I'm Mark Mayfield.
While we're talking about the president, he says his administration working to remove international drug cartels. He says he's been happy to sign executive orders that target cartels, and he noted the recent destruction of the narco-terrorist boats in the Eastern Pacific.
Under the Trump administration, we're finally treating the cartels as the core national security threat that they really are.
The president continues to call these cartels the ISIS of the West. He was joined by Attorney General Pam Bondi at this meeting yesterday, Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem, FBI Director Kash Patel, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, the president touting his administration's success in combating these drug cartels.
In recent weeks, our Homeland Security Task Force has seized more than 70 tons of deadly narcotics, along with more than 1,000 illegal guns, and that's just recently. This is already the most successful anti-cartel and anti-gang operation in American history. It should now be clear to the entire world that the cartels are the ISIS of the Western Hemisphere, in addition to their monstrous violence, such as cutting off heads, burning their enemies alive, and burning innocent people alive, too, by the way.
The president says those attacks will continue. 5:21. Tensions remain high as ICE raids continue in several cities across the country. Correspondent Morgan Chesky reports agents have been targeting several cities from coast to coast.
In Chicago, 7 people arrested by federal agents in an immigrant community known locally as Mexico of the Midwest. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino was there. Local leaders condemning the action.
Now, earlier this week, several people, including some U.S. citizens, were arrested in that crackdown on Canal Street against street vendors in Lower Manhattan. In South Los Angeles, a popular TikToker and a deputy U.S. Marshal were wounded in a shooting during an immigration enforcement that happened there.
The raids have been playing out for months nationwide, largely in Democratic cities targeted by President Trump. The immigration actions sparking protests.
And the president says now that federal National Guard troops will not be sent to San Francisco to crack down on crime and immigration there. He says some friends told him that Mayor Daniel Lurie is making progress in the city by the Bay.
We're going to let them see if they can do it. I said, I think we can do it much faster. I know we can do it faster. I think we can do it better than anybody. We can take criminals out that they're not going to know about, and probably they don't have the legal authority maybe to do what we can.
The president says he spoke with the mayor of San Francisco on Wednesday night. He says Lurie asked him to give him a chance to turn the city around, and so he decided to do so.
And they said, we're working really, really hard with the mayor. We're making progress. Would it be possible for you to hold off the surge? And I had 4 or 5 calls, and I think they're making progress. If we need to, we'll do it. But it's possible that we won't need to, and we will be focusing on other places like Chicago.
Now, that announcement came on the same day that U.S. Customs and Border Agent patrols arrived in San Francisco, in Alameda for immigration operations there. 523, a report says the Justice Department criminal probe into California Democratic Senator Adam Schiff, apparently, this according to NBC anyway, isn't going anywhere for now. Schiff says President Trump's control of the DOJ is part of a larger effort that's beyond this case.
The misuse of the Justice Department to go after his enemies is part of the same effort to silence critics across our society.
Now, Schiff, of course, has not liked President Trump for a long time. Federal prosecutors, according to NBC, have not been able to produce enough evidence to bring charges regarding possible mortgage fraud.
And the only way to defeat that kind of censorship and suppression is everyone say, we're not going to accept this and push back.
Now, yesterday, the president was asked about this investigation. Would only say that Schiff is a horrible human being.
No, I'm not going to comment on that. I would just say Adam Schiff is one of the lowest forms of scum I've ever dealt with in politics. He's a horrible human being.
Yeah, these two individuals do not like each other. 524, the White House says President Trump has been very transparent about the construction of his new ballroom at the White House. White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt says she's sure the president will release a full list of donors who are paying for the 90,000 square foot ballroom.
The president has been incredibly transparent. I would reject any notion otherwise when it comes to this ballroom project. It's something he personally has obviously taken an interest into.
Critics claim the demolition of the East Wing to make room for the ballroom is more than what the president said was necessary. Construction of the ballroom was now projected to cost about $300 million. That's up from the $200 million estimate the White House gave back in July.
There are changes over time as you assess what the project is going to look like, and we'll continue to keep you apprised of all of those changes, but just trust the process. This is going to be a magnificent addition to the White House for many years to come, and it's not costing the taxpayers anything.
WABC News Time 525. Let's go overseas. The president turning up pressure on Russia now to end the war in Ukraine. Correspondent Keir Simons reports the White House has slapped sanctions on 2 of Russia's largest oil companies now.
The Russian government describing these sanctions as counterproductive and saying anyway, Russia is strongly immune to sanctions, but they do represent a significant shift in President Trump's approach to President Putin.
United Kingdom also targeted 2 oil companies last week. European Union formally adopted another package of sanctions yesterday. Simons reports the U.S. has slapped new sanctions, not just Russia, but other places.
President Trump in Washington saying he simply felt that the time was right, that every time he had a conversation with President Putin, it seemed to go well, but then nothing happened. He says that he would be prepared to lift the sanctions against Russia if President Putin changes his approach.
And this all comes after the meeting in Budapest that was set to take place to hopefully end the war between Ukraine and Russia was canceled, the meeting between Putin and President Trump. 526, on a much lighter note, there are over 3,500 mosquito species worldwide, and until recently, 2 places didn't have any of them.
Iceland and Antarctica were the only regions in the world with no recorded mosquito population. No buzzing, no biting. But the designation has changed after the Natural Science Institute of Iceland confirmed the discovery of 3 mosquitoes, 2 females and 1 male, near Reykjavik, Iceland. Scientists say the mosquito discovery is due to climate change. Now Antarctica is the only place on Earth without mosquitoes. For now, I'm Bree Tennis.
All right, in a moment, we'll tell you about a would-be robber who picked the wrong guy to target. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 527, traffic, transit on the 7s. Here's Joe Nolan.
Mosquitoes got on United and flew there. It was great. They had a good time. Iceland.
Slapping, can you imagine living in a place where there are none of them? I mean,
No, that's part. I mean, some of them around here are like, the size of fighter jets. I mean, they're giant.
You know what the best part of getting a mosquito bite is? I don't know if you've ever done this, but you take a spoon and you get it really hot, like under hot water, and then you take the back of the spoon and you put it on the mosquito bite. That is like one of the greatest feelings ever. It's almost worth getting them. What's that?
The mosquito bite goes away?
No. It just relieves the itching. You take it, you put it on there. Oh, man, it's the best feeling. Next time you get one.
But that's okay.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, October 24th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, high 62. The weekend pretty nice. Saturday, sunshine, high 61. Sunday, partly cloudy, high 58. It begins a trend downwards. Fall kicking in, like the weather doesn't get out of the 50s for much of next week. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. It's 44 and clear in Yonkers up in Westchester County, 45 and clear in Elmwood Park over in New Jersey, and it's 46 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:39. Do you remember when Mayor Adams called Andrew Cuomo a snake? That wasn't that long ago. It was like 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. Well, apparently they're buddies now. Mayor Adams endorsing Governor Andrew Cuomo in the race for mayor yesterday. The two appeared together at an event in East Harlem for the formal announcement. Adams hugged Cuomo before announcing his support.
Am I angry that I'm not the one taking down Zoran, the socialist and the communist? You're darn right I am. But you know what? The city means more to me than anything. And it is time for us as a family to come together.
The mayor put his own personal ambition and ego aside to make sure he's doing everything he can to make sure that New York remains New York.
And the mayor was asked by reporters about that snake comment and what's going on, and he says sometimes brothers fight.
Yes. Well, you criticized Andrew and you called him names. You know what? And he called me names. But you know what? Now it's time to fight for the family.
And Cuomo thanked Adams for his support.
Zoran is an existential threat to New York City.
And then, of course, the other candidates in the race all responding to this. Zoran Mamdani finds this all pretty laughable.
Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo are two illustrations of the same broken politics. And today will be an illustration for New Yorkers of the fact that Eric Adams' record is Andrew Cuomo's agenda.
And Curtis Lewa, who was in Dykers Heights yesterday, vowed that he will march on and still has a chance to win this election.
So we got two birds of a corrupt feather who are together now with the idea that somehow they're going to muscle out me.
No way.
Guess what?
Not happening.
It ain't Adams. It ain't Cuomo. It ain't Zoran Mamdani. You can't buy me, lease me. I'm not for sale.
And the Sliwa campaign making the argument yesterday that over 1 million Independent voters in New York City haven't had a chance to voice any vote because they can't vote in the Democratic or Republican primaries, but they can vote in the general. So he says, he's hoping all that goes his way. 5:41 this morning. E-bike regulations go into effect, e-bike and scooter regulations. This is you can't go faster than 15 miles per hour now on city streets, though actually they should say for city sidewalks because you feel like you're dodging in them there as well. So tickets could be handed out, and New Yorkers say it's about time that they be reined in, these people on e-bikes and e-scooters. A lot of them are food delivery folks.
And it's definitely a nuisance, but it is what it is. I got into an accident one time where they were going the wrong way, and it's a little bit of a problem. Hopefully laws get passed and things change.
I'm glad they're going to start doing that. They also need to do a law to keep them out the bus lane, too.
Yeah, New Yorkers say they hope these e-bike riders will abide by the new rules, but they kind of doubt they will.
Safety is always an issue, especially with their batteries that always explode, their speed, they're not registered.
Yeah, New York officials may have their work cut out for them. A New York Post investigation, they put out a radar gun, literally in hand, and they found that many riders on various makes and models were going way faster than this speed limit. Now, again, it doesn't kick in till today. It's not clear how they're going to do enforcement on this, by the way. But the Post took out a radar gun on 6th Avenue in Midtown Manhattan. They clocked some riders going 23 miles per hour, weaving dangerously between cars and pedestrians. And again, we asked, how are you going to enforce these new rules? And we have not heard back from the city. 5:43, out to Long Island, where an investigation's underway after a woman was found dead. She had facial burns. This was in Herrick's. The 46-year-old victim was found when officers responded to a welfare check. Now, this was the end of last week. Not clear why they're just releasing these details now, maybe because it's part of their investigation. But the woman, identified as Alina Asif, was unconscious, not breathing, when authority arrived at her house in Herrick's. Neighbors watching this investigation, hearing about it for the first time like we are, want to know exactly what took place.
Looked down the street and saw that there was a large vehicle, lots of lights, and police on the property.
It is bizarre. It's heartbreaking. I feel so sorry for the woman, even though I don't know her.
Why? Who killed her? Why? There's got to be a story behind it.
Okay, this is what the medical examiner is saying. They determined her death to be a criminal homicide due to asphyxiation by an unknown chemical substance. Okay, that's frightening. The investigation is ongoing. And then yesterday they sent out another release. They really are looking for anybody who might know something. Saw anybody come out of this house. So they're asking if you have any tips about this murder, or looks to be murder in Herrick's. They're asking you to call the Nassau County Crime Stoppers. And if you want to, you can remain anonymous. In a moment, one other story out of Long Island. Apparently, LIRR workers, are cheating the system again when it comes to the time clock. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Quick recap here of Thursday Night Football last night, kicking off Week 8 in the NFL. Your final from L.A. The Chargers beat up on the Vikings there 37-10. I'm looking ahead to the early afternoon slate, Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m., the 0-7 Jets. They're 6.5-point road underdogs in Cincinnati against the 3-4 Bengals, and 2-5 Giants. They'll be in Philadelphia, 7.5-point road underdogs against the 5-2 Eagles. Second meeting between the division rivals in 3 weeks. Head to the ice here at the Garden. The Rangers lost 6-5 in overtime to the Sharks, handing lowly San Jose their first win of the season. Despite Taylor Radish scoring 3 goals for his second hat trick in the league, the Rangers have lost 5 in a row at home to start for the first time since 1943-44. They got 5 goals after scoring just once in their first 4 games at the Garden combined, with Mika Zibanejad and Juuso Parssinen also netting 1 each. New York lost big forward Matt Rempe to injury injury stemming from his fight with Ryan Reeves in the first period. Rempe left the ice rather than go into the penalty box, and the team said he would not return with what's being called an upper body injury. Up next for the Rangers, they'll open a 4-game Western Conference trip Sunday at Calgary. In Elmont, Emil Heineman scored twice, while Tony DeAngelo, Matt Barzal, and Simon Holmstrom each had a goal and an assist as the Islanders topped the Detroit Red Wings 7-2. Jean-Gabriel Pajot and Kyle Palmieri also scored for the Islanders, who have won 4 in a row after losing their first 3 to open the season. Anders Lee added 3 assists, and David Rittich made 29 saves. New York's Matthew Schaefer, first pick of the 2025 NHL Draft, had his 6-game point streak snapped. Up next for the Streaking Isles, they'll begin a 4-game road trip tomorrow in Philadelphia against the Flyers. And tonight on the ice, 7 p.m. puck drop out in Jersey. The Devils will welcome in the aforementioned San Jose Sharks. And to the hardwood tonight, 2 7:30 p.m. tip-offs here locally. The Knicks will welcome in the Boston Celtics. As for the Nets, they will host the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the World Series will get underway tonight out in Toronto. Blue Jays and Dodgers. World Series Game 1, 8 p.m. first pitch.
Blue Jays have any chance in this?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, they won't win, but do they have a chance? Yeah, it's a World Series. Why not?
All right. Well, they do have home field advantage, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you win. You gotta win a couple games at home here, duh, and take it back to L.A. Hold your own. I mean, yeah, but listen, the Dodgers are a juggernaut. The Blue Jays are deep, and that's the reason they won the American League. They were, arguably the deepest team all year. And the most consistent in terms of just winning, ball games in the American League. But, I mean, man, you look at the Dodgers, they are built for this machine that is the MLB postseason. And they showed it last year, and they're about to show it this year again. I wouldn't be surprised if they sweep the Blue Jays.
Really? But, so, any chance you're watching this tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll check out this game. Why not? Of course. World Series Game 1. Listen, I'm a baseball fan, Noam Laden. All right? If my Yankees aren't in it. But, it's weird. You kind of have to root for the Blue Jays here. If you're...
of course.
If you're not if you're not a Dodgers fan specifically. But it's weird. The Blue Jays ousted the Yankees this year. But, at this point, I think I hate the Dodgers more.
Yeah.
They beat the Yankees last year, of course, in the World Series. So we're looking forward to this Game 1 tonight. That's your Sports Gnome. I'm Justin Ellick, 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:50. For the second time this year, LIRR workers, some of them facing allegations of time theft. A new report from the MTA Inspector General accuses 36 workers of taking part in an elaborate scheme that allowed them to get paid for hours they never worked, using fake ID swipe cards to clock in and clock out. According to the report, 36 employees, including 7 supervisors, involved in what investigators describe as a culture of fraud and time abuse. Why is this always happening on the LIRR? Here's head of the Passengers United, which is a group that advocates for LIRR riders.
This is why passengers are just getting outraged with all of these things happening.
Yeah, so according to the Inspector General's report, nearly all of the employees involved received unpaid suspensions ranging from 2 to 9 months. Now, why weren't they fired? But 12 employees have resigned or retired and must forfeit hundreds of thousands of dollars. Out to Brooklyn, are you one of these people who uses a hookup app? There's a lot of you out there. Just a word of caution. A 47-year-old man in Flatbush, he was robbed at gunpoint using one of these apps Wednesday night. So he was waiting for a person he had met on a dating app at his home on East 21st Street. This was about 9 o'clock Wednesday night. Someone knocks at the door. He opens it. It's not the person he expected it to be, but it was 2 men dressed all in black with face masks. They forced their way in. They held the gun to the victim's head, ordered him to lie down, face down on the floor. They tried to tie him up, but he resisted. One of the attackers then kicked him several times. They stole all kinds of personal property before running away. This is a high-end building, and neighbors say, well, they're shocked about what happened.
Oh, my God. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
No, oh, my God. From a security perspective, I think that the building could be doing a lot more for us.
Sounds like it. The victim taken to the hospital with injuries and stable conditions. So far, far, there have been no arrests. Very quietly, did you know that Ace Frehley, the co-founder of KISS, he was from the Bronx, grew up in New York, lived in Queens for a while. He passed away, as you no doubt probably know. So he came home for good on Wednesday. We didn't get a lot of heads up about this. He was buried quietly in the Bronx this week with all the members of KISS at his funeral.
Rock and roll historian Eddie Trunk posting on Instagram that Frehley was buried at a Bronx cemetery Wednesday and that original band members Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, and Peter Criss were there to see him off. A private service was reportedly held Tuesday in Yonkers, attended mostly by musicians who played with Frehley. Frehley was born and raised in the Bronx and lived in Yonkers in the 80s. An investigation to finalize the cause of his death after a fall last week is continuing. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
5:53. It has been a week of coyote attacks, and now we're finding out about another one. This all in New Jersey. A coyote mauled a New Jersey family's pet dog to death in their backyard. This happened this week. The 11-year-old, 11-year-old Shih Tzu was killed in Hohokus. And they don't think it was the same coyote that attacked two people this week we told you about. One was in Woodcliff Lake. The other one was in, will the brain work to remind me? Saddle River, right. So two people were attacked. A housekeeper in Woodcliff Lake, as she walked the dog, was attacked by a coyote. And then you had that individual in Saddle River who was attacked as he was doing some yard work. And now we're finding out about this dog, and the dog did not survive its injuries. And now you just get all these warnings from people who are involved in this kind of thing. An expert from the Last Resort Wildlife Refuge says you just have heightened coyote activity at this time of year, and you just need to be careful when you venture out. And, of course, all these attacks have been pretty bad.
If it doesn't, that would indicate that there's
So they're saying if you see a coyote in the middle of the day, that's not good news, because they're not supposed to be out in the middle of the day. And that's what's happened with these attacks. They've all kind of happened during daylight hours.
If it doesn't, that would indicate that there's something not quite normal about it. And in that case, I would say you should get either inside of a vehicle or inside of your house and call the local authority.
Yeah, so you see one around, for sure you want to go in the opposite direction. This is strange. I can't even tell you how many people called me or texted me or sent me messages on social media platforms that there had been monkeys spotted in Newark over the last couple of days. And in one of the texts that was sent to me, or maybe it was on Instagram, I don't remember at this point, but they said that there was a picture of wild monkeys walking through the streets of Newark on Thursday. And so these reports got so big that they even were told where they were. So the police show up at this one area. It was in Georgia King Village. This was about 10:35 yesterday morning. On this report that there were wild monkeys. Now, you can imagine if you're a police officer showing up to this, you're like, God, I hope this isn't true. And it ends up, it's not true. It was this picture that was being shared. It was an AI picture. We're all being fooled by AI these days. It wasn't real, but of course cops didn't know that, and neither did the neighbors in this neighborhood who were sharing the picture.
A coworker of mine called me. She told me to be careful. There's a monkey in the loose, and I'm like, what? A monkey in the loose? So she's like, yeah, that's the word that's going around.
Yes, so Newark police checked inside these buildings and the grounds at the Georgia King Village yesterday. They didn't find anything. Then they started to look at this picture, and they realized, oh no, this is an AI-generated picture of a monkey in this neighborhood. It's not the case. So people in the neighborhood say, oh, God, I can't believe we're being fooled by this stuff.
AI, like, come on, let's use it for the right thing, like not something like this. When something really does happen, then what?
We need to use AI the right way, not play around too much and make things bigger than what it is.
Yeah, so no monkeys on the streets of Newark.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.